Okay, let's move forward a bit. We're now in ancient Rome. This is Cicero. He was a politician and a brilliant speaker, the best of his generation. One very clever thing he worked out was which order to use the logos, pathos, ethos strategies. And he formulated this, and I am going to teach you this secret. This makes a huge difference. A lot of people don't know this strategy. They get it wrong. If you ever have to give a persuasive speech, a pitch, you need to work something out with your employees or your boss, try this strategy. So I've put the original Latin words on the left-hand side and made my own translation in yellow. Beginning, connecting, argument, undermined, strong ending. Okay, I did this because the letters, if you look at them carefully, answer the question why. Because. So what could you use at the beginning of your speech or presentation? You might want to start with a hook to draw in your audience. It could be a question. It could be a problem that you're about to solve. This is a good time to establish your credibility, what experience you have, for example. And it may be time to clarify your position right up front. But if you know you are speaking to people who right now disagree with you, I would hold off on clarifying your position. I would hold off on telling them what you want. Because if they don't want it and you're telling them what you want, their immediate internal reaction is to say no and to shut down and not listen properly to what you have to say next. Okay, after that, narratio, connecting. The word narratio is a bit of a clue here. What do you think you could do next? Yes, that's right. You could tell a story. You need to make a connection with your listener, with your audience. This is where you use emotions. This is where you use pathos. This is maybe where you throw in some juicy details to paint a picture, to get them understanding what you're really talking about, to get them on your side, to get them to feel the way you feel. Next comes the facts. Never start with a whole pile of facts. This is what so many people do wrong. If somebody does not agree with you already, and you're just giving them your logic, inside their heads, they are just countering everything that you say. They're disagreeing with you. If people understand emotionally first, they're more likely to listen to your logical argument. And this is where you can give evidence. Now, in a debate, you often find people rebutting, undermining. This can also work in a persuasive pitch. This might be the point where you do what? You know who's got the answer? Sun Tzu, Sun Tzu, as we call him in English, ancient Chinese leader. And he said, Je ji, je bi, bai zhan, budai. You got that? Now you know what to do. Okay, just in case your Chinese is even worse than mine, it means something like know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win 100 battles. The idea is that you know about the opposition. One person who knew all about the art of war, no surprises here, was Steve Jobs. When he launched his MacBook Air, he talked quite a bit about a Sony product, the rival laptop. Now, did he say, oh, this Sony is a piece of crap? No, he was very smart. He said, the Sony's good at this. It's a nice piece of equipment. It's good at that. It's pretty good at this. But ours is better. In fact, the thinnest part of the Sony laptop is still thicker than the thickest part of the MacBook Air. And his pictures went around the world. He didn't even have to pay for advertising there. It was on the news all around the world. Now, as every lawyer knows, you need to end your persuasive pitch with a strong ending. Emphasize the strengths of your argument. Remind us of the main points. Stir up the audience. Notice I'm using parallel structures there. And in a strong ending, that's a great place to use parallel structures. If you started with a problem, give us the clear solution to the problem. If the person you're speaking to has a problem and you have a new way of solving it, this is the time to tell us, here is the new way of solving it. End strong. Okay, I think you can see what the magic word is here. The first picture is from 100 years ago. It was an advertisement to persuade people to sign up to join the military, the army, at the beginning of the First World War, 1914. What happened to many of the people that signed up? Not just in Britain, but also in Canada, in India, Australia, South Africa, many other countries. Yep, many of them signed up and died. The average age of the people who died, the soldiers, was 19. This was a very, very powerful commercial. And you saw the magic word, you. Remember this, please remember this, when you are trying to persuade somebody of something. Don't just talk about me, my idea is this, my, I. Get the word you in there as often as you can. If you're writing a cover letter, don't just say, I can do this, I can do that. You did that already in your resume. This is a time to say what I can do for you. That idea was so successful that 35 years later, it was used again, this time by the American military. I want you for the US Army. Told you they'd be kissing. This is another military idea. Weirdly, when you want to persuade somebody, don't use lots of complicated language. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. I find this a little ironic because in my experience, the US military are, let's just say, keen to use a lot of long words, some of which hadn't yet been invented. But this is a great strategy. As you might have worked out already, I'm a bit of a tree hugger, but politically I like to be open-minded. And back in the 90s, I spent a week with the American military at their PSYOPs, Psychological Operations Headquarters in North Carolina. The military put a lot of effort into psychologically changing people's minds, not just threatening them with weapons. The people who worked there were not that different from you. A lot of young people, hardworking, good ideas. And many of their ideas saved lives. If you can persuade people, if you can influence them using words, loudspeakers, music, kindness, friendliness, instead of dropping bombs or killing them, you're doing something useful. The concept of community policing is very similar. It would be great if certain people at higher levels of power remembered that, rather than tweeting things about when the looting begins, the shooting begins, and other helpful statements. I still remember one of the young officers. She was actually very, very beautiful. And she used this line to explain psychological operations.
You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Think about it. And you know what? It's much nicer being nicer to people, much less stressful.